This video talks about various features of one of our most important custom visuals, PAFnow Process Explorer, that is made available with our latest release, 2019.1. PAFnow Process Explorer helps you automatically visualize your business process so that you can exactly see how the process in your company branched out in reality. Any process data can be examined with PAFnow, and what we'll be looking at is a purchasing process based on raw data from an SAP ERP system. So, let's have a brief look into how we can set up this visual. You can find this visual in the Visualization pane. This is the icon for the PAFnow Process Explorer. When you click on the icon, an empty visual is created on the canvas. Now, you can drag it and bring it to the required size. For the PAFnow Process Explorer to visualize your process, you first have to drag the required fields into the appropriate buckets. Let's move to the Fields pane. Go to the Event Log table and drag in the field Activity Name for the source bucket and Activity Name Target for the target bucket. We immediately see the process picture showing up in the visual. These are the start and end points. All the activities are represented in what we call as nodes. They are connected by process paths, also known as edges. Using these icons, you can zoom in and out of the process picture to closely see the details within the process map. The little circle icon that appears on top of some activities denote a self loop. A self loop is an activity that repeats itself immediately. This is a mini map. It helps you keep track of where exactly you're pointing to with respect to the entire process picture. Now, in order to get back to full view of the process picture, you can use this Fit to Screen option. You can completely customize and personalize the visual according to your preferences. And you can find a variety of such options in the Format tab of this visual. For instance, if you would like to remove this mini map, you can go to the Format tab and under Advanced section, you can disable it. Before we move into details of other buckets in the visualization, let's fill in the two important buckets, namely edge volume and variance. Edge volume is a distinct number of cases that flow through each of the edges. Variance, on the other hand, are unique paths that the entire process has followed between the start and end points. Once these buckets are filled, we instantly see a slider appear at the bottom of the visual. This slider helps you control the level of complexity you would like to visualize in the process. The slider adds or removes variants which are shown in the Process Explorer. When the slider is dragged to the extreme right, you can see all the process variants. Sliding to the left will progressively remove variants with smaller volume. And on moving to the leftmost side, only the last variant with the biggest volume shows up in the process picture. If you closely notice, when I move the slider to the right, I see an animation on how the process picture grows with the new edges being added. This is due to the Highlight Updates option, and you can find this option from the Advanced section in the Format tab. It animates every update made to the process picture. Similarly, when I click on the edge, Create Shopping Cart to create purchase order, it indicates all the variants that are associated with this edge. And this function is enabled through the Variant Indicator option from the Advanced section. Now, these paths or edges can hold useful information to gain deeper insights into the process. We'll see how edge labels can be used for this purpose. Let's put number of cases and average duration as the edge labels. On the process map, when you zoom into the edges, the labels display this information with relevant icons for volume and duration. You can add additional information such as cost per step as well. This cost could be the min, max, average, or any of these aggregations specified. Now, when you hover over the edge, a tooltip with all three edge label attributes gets displayed. On the other hand, the edge label still shows the first two attributes. From the Format tab under Edges, you can control on how many edge labels must be displayed. Now when I select 3 edge labels, the label gets immediately updated to show a dollar icon indicating the cost per step. You can display up to 3 labels on the edge. However, you can add as many edge label attributes as you want and display them on your tooltip. So when I add, for example, total number of resources to the edge label bucket, it automatically appears in the tooltip. Let's move to the next bucket, edge thickness. You can tune the paths to be thicker or thinner based on an edge level attribute. Let's again use number of cases for the purpose of keeping it simple. So all the edges where more number of cases flow will be depicted much thicker than others. This translates to seeing which paths occur more frequently in comparison to others. In this example, you have greater number of cases flowing from postgoods receipt to post-invoice than the other way around. The current setting shows thicker paths with greater value of edge thickness attributes. If you would like to have thinner paths with increase in attribute value, you can use this invert thickness option. And now the visualization is reversed. It shows thinner paths for edges with greater case volume. Moving on, edge highlight is another way of visualizing important attributes related to the process. This option helps you depict some paths brighter in color than others based on the attribute value. Let's pick average duration of edge as an example. So, edges which take longer durations are depicted brighter red in color than others. Here, post-invoice to pay invoice takes much longer than postgoods receipt to post-invoice. One last point on edge highlight before we move into the next feature. The default highlight color is red, but you can change it to any other color from the Format tab of the visual. All the functionalities that were shown for edges are also applicable for nodes. So let me use total number of reworks for the node size. Drag in average automation rate for the node highlight. And for the node tooltip, let's pull in 2 fields. Distinct number of resources per activity and the total reworks. Now let's move to the Process Explorer. I see that approval level 1 and postgoods receipt have bigger node sizes, indicating that they've undergone multiple reworks. The node post-invoice is highlighted red as the automation rate is high. However, since a high automation rate denotes a positive connotation, we can change the highlight color to green from the Format tab. Now we see all the activities which are highly automated to be highlighted in green. Now when I hover over the node tooltip gets displayed. It shows 2 values, the distinct number of resources involved in the postgoods received activity, as well as the total reworks performed. This way, all your important information is available at just one glance into your process picture. Moving on to the next feature, the Process Explorer also offers the possibility to drill down and examine your process more closely using filter options. For instance, this purchasing process has 3 approval levels. And if I would like to see only cases that have gone through at least one of the approval levels, I would go to the Search tab and type Approval. It performs a fuzzy search, and on pressing Enter, it takes me to that part of the process picture where all these approval levels occur. I can select multiple nodes with a Ctrl+ click. On a right click, the following options are displayed. If I wanted only cases where all the approval levels 1, 2, and 3 have been performed, I would select Include All. But since I want cases that have gone through at least one of them, I would go for Include Any. The same logic applies for Exclude as well. Once I've filtered, it updates the Process Explorer with current filters on the top left corner. On the right side, the new filter experience from Power BI also tells you all the filters set on this visual. I can further drill down to case level through the Case Overview option. When I switch to Case Overview, this table gives a list of all cases that have gone through at least one of the approval levels. If I would like to bookmark this visual, I'd have to fill in the Bookmarks bucket. For this, I would go to the Fields pane and add the 2 filter fields. You can find them in the Filter and Filter Or tables. Lastly, you can hover over the icons and click on the bin if you'd like to delete these filters set on the visual. Let's next dive into one of our powerful features, The PAFnow Process Explorer can now decompose and visualize the process based on case-level attributes, and it can now perform what we call as difference analysis using the legend feature. We can use this feature very efficiently for a use case like concept drift. So what is a concept drift? Concept drift is a phenomenon where the process properties change over a period of time. And if I would like to analyze this concept using our visual, I can do so by using fiscal year as a legend. There are 3 layouts on how you can visualize this. We're currently in the unique highlight mode. It highlights, for example, just this edge, pay invoice to post negative goods received for the year 2012 because it has not occurred for other fiscal years. When I use the all-in-one mode, I can see which of the years have gone through specific activities more or less frequent. In this example, the purchasing process in 2013 was more compliant because they have gone through each of the critical points such as creation of purchase requisitions to purchase orders to all 3 approval levels before moving into goods received. Whereas in 2015, it only goes through creation of purchase orders and 1 level of approval before directly moving into goods received. And I can see this very clearly when I'm in the side-by-side mode. Here, it places all the graphs one beside the other, one for each of the years, so that you can exactly see how the process occurred in 2013 as compared to 2015. Another similar use case could be to use vendor names as a legend and see how my purchasing process varies from one vendor to the other. Let's jump into another interesting feature. The PAFnow Process Explorer can now perform a data-driven conformance check of the process. Top right corner of the visual has an icon, which on clicking activates the conformance checking mode. Now let me select the most frequent variant. On examining this process variant, I conclude that I would like to use this as a reference or should be model for my process. So I mark it as conform. When I click on the third icon from top, I can see that my reference model has been updated to what I just marked as conformed. Let me now jump to say the third variant. The visual automatically identifies that approval levels 2 and 3 have been skipped, and the path from approval level 1 to post goods received is not conformed. Beside the conformance mode icon, you see a conformance score of the current selected variant. Here it is 71%. Now I move to the fifth variant. Here none of the approval levels have been performed. It is of course natural that not all purchase orders require approval, which makes this variant perfectly conformed. So I update my reference model by making this variant as conformed. Now when I go back to the reference model, it gets updated to include this variant as well. This way, I can keep updating my reference model over time. This eliminates the need to have a predefined reference model for the process you would like to evaluate. It's a huge advantage for organizations that would otherwise have to come together several times before they get a meaningful reference model to start with. In addition, there is an auto mode which can be enabled from the conformance section. It automatically renders the top 80% of the process to be a reference model. As one of the last notes, the entire report and all our visuals, including PAFnow Process Explorer, allows you to white label them. In other words, you can change the green and teal PAFnow colors of the visual to suit your organization's branding. You can do this by changing the primary and secondary colors from the theme section in the Format tab. So far, this video has demonstrated on how our PAFnow Process Explorer has grown into a powerful and multifunctional visual, enabling the users to derive key insights into their process data. Please feel free to contact us through info@pafnow.com for any further queries.